Legends 5th anniversary is finally underway, and we finally have access to Tag Goku and Frieza, Transforming Jiren, Sparking Casserole, and Sparking Kyawe. And honestly speaking, all 4 of these units are extremely fun to use. I've been using these 4 units like crazy off screen because obviously 1, it's the 5th anniversary and I'm just hyped, but 2, just because they're genuinely fun units to use. And they all bring something to the table that makes them really enjoyable to utilize in a general retrospect. So because of that, I'm going to show you guys a few battles I had off screen with these units. But with that being said, let's get into it.
Versus Goku and Final Form Frieza, Hit and Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta.
And here we are in the first battle. So I lead off with Casserole and the opponent leads off with Goku and Frieza. So at the beginning of the battle, I had a special skill, and when I used it, the opponent sidestepped. So I threw out Ki Blast, and luckily they followed up with Strike. So because of that, I was able to continue my combo with Casserole, landing literally nothing but Strike Arts cards on Goku and Frieza, and of course, inflicting bleed in the process, which is fantastic. Anyway, eventually the opponent tackles, and I throw in Kyawe. I wanted to throw in Goku and Frieza, but something was telling me throw in Kyawe, it's probably a better option. So anyway, I get them to vanish, and then they throw in Hit. I get Hit to vanish, and then from there, I was kind of a bit patient because I didn't know what Hit was going to do. So I tackle again, and they tried to use a special move, but luckily, I connected my tackle. So I combo Hit for a little bit, then I pop my main ability, and I use my ultimate attack, but the opponent ended up throwing in Vegeta, which is unfortunate because I was really trying to deal a lot of damage against Hit, which we were initially, but that cover change kind of canceled that. Anyway, Vegeta ends up tackling Kyawe, and I end up throwing in Casserole just to be able to mitigate damage. Then they immediately swap to Goku and Frieza, and then afterwards they swap from Goku to Frieza. So at this point, I know I should swap just to try to prepare for Rising Rush just in case if it happens, but I end up landing a tackle. So because of that, I end up following up with Ki Blast, and the opponent ended up throwing in Hit. Now, this is actually a good thing that, you know, I didn't throw in Goku and Frieza because, 1, I know I can't get Frieza in just yet, and 2, the opponent has time skip mode. So if Goku and Frieza were in, more than likely the opponent would have wiped them out. So I would much rather have Casserole take the hit than Goku and Frieza. Anyway, time skip mode ended up wiping out Casserole. I tackle Hit, and then I wait out the sidestep from Vegeta, and at this point, I need to build my swap gauge as fast as possible so I can try to get Frieza in. Anyway, the opponent ends up tackling, I catch him with Strike, and I continue my combo, and from there, I'm finally able to swap to Frieza. So, the opponent has a choice to make. Let Vegeta die, let Goku and Frieza die, or let Hit die. And they let Vegeta die, which is fine by me because Casserole's dead, so if he's gone, then that's okay with me. Anyway, I still have my unique gauge full, so even with Hit in, the opponent can't use Rising Rush just yet until that gauge empties out. But luckily, right before it did, I threw in Kyawe to cancel, you know, Strike, because that combo is probably going to last forever. Now, at this point, I just need to be able to knock out one of the units. However, when the opponent tackled with Goku, this was a mistake I made. I forgot that Kyawe is able to dodge twice. So because of that, I tapped when I should have just dodged again. But anyway, the opponent just rushed in with Strike. I managed to counter it with my own Strike. And from there, I was able to win the clash and continue, except immediately afterwards, Hit went in. So what I need to do right now is just wipe out Hit. Luckily, I was able to catch him when I swapped in Frieza, and I just wiped him out completely with Ki Blast, really. Now, it's, you know, Goku and Frieza versus Goku and Frieza. At this point, I knew the opponent had Rising Rush, and my unique gauge is gone, but theirs replenished because they're last man standing. So I tackled, and they activated Rush. I got out the way, and I was able to continue my combo, and from there, it led into LF. So, yeah, this team was great, and in all honesty, having Kyawe there helped out a ton because it applied a bit of pressure on the opponent in terms of how they're going to approach their attack, because with Kyawe being able to dodge multiple times, it gives you that opportunity to get out of extremely dangerous situations. And also, with them not having a green unit on the team, it allowed me to have Frieza go in and have him kind of take care of a lot of things, especially one big one being taking care of Hit. Granted, Hit knocked out Casserole, I would say a bit too early. still being able to knock out Hit with Frieza was good, because if Hit survived, we were in a bad spot. And if I'm not mistaken, Hit didn't use his ultimate attack, so that really would have been bad, especially for Kiawe. But we still managed to make it work. But anyway, on to the next battle.
Versus Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta, Jiren, and Ultra Instinct Goku.
And here we are in the second battle. So I lead off with Casserole, and the opponent leads off with Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta. So I end up tackling, but they ended up catching me on strike. But afterwards, they dropped their combo for whatever reason. I don't know why. So I attacked a little bit with Casserole once I caught him, and then I threw in Kiawe. And the reason why I threw her in was because I thought the opponent was going to swap to Goku, but they just didn't. So I comboed with Kiawe a little bit, and then afterwards, I dropped the combo, and sure enough, they swapped into Jiren. So I caught him with a bit of blast darts, and then Jiren popped his special skill. So I know he has a special move. And then I popped my special skill, so I know his vanish is gone. So I attack a little bit, but that was all I could do. I didn't have any cards. So the opponent swapped to Goku. I threw out another special skill, so I took away his vanish. The downside is by the time I was actually able to follow up, the opponent was able to swap out and combo accordingly with Vegeta. They end up popping their main ability with Vegeta, and then I decide, you know what? I don't want her to take that much damage. So I throw in Casserole to actually take the ultimate attack. And he took it decently. I mean, it still hit pretty hard, but still. Eventually, the opponent ends up throwing in Jiren, and then they transform. So they knock down my entire hand. And at this point, I'm like, you know what? It's going to be a battle of attrition if I don't knock out somebody soon. So I pop my main ability, then I attack with Casserole, vanish out the way from the strike cards, and then throw out my ultimate attack against Jiren. And without a single doubt, this absolutely purged him. So Jiren's now dead. Now the main threat on this team ends up being Goku, because if he's last man standing, he'll get endurance. So he ended up throwing out the special move on Casserole. Then afterwards, he followed up with Ki Blast. I vanish out the way, then I throw in Kiawe. And at this point, I just need to find a way to actually approach the opponent. So I tried to tackle, and then I vanished out the way, but I followed up too late. So because of that, the opponent was able to get a few hits off. Then they swapped to Vegeta and combo, but here's where they messed up. They used Rising Rush without even realizing that I haven't even used Goku and Frieza once. So I cover change the Rising Rush, so it's a complete waste. Now at this point, all I need to do is build up that swap gauge to get Frieza in. Once I do that, then Goku becomes a non-issue. So because of that, I combo accordingly. Afterwards, I follow up with Strike, and then I swap into Frieza. And then I throw out Rising Rush because there's literally nothing else they can do to stop that. So I throw out Rush. They end up throwing in Goku, which I think personally was not really the best choice, but it was what it was. Anyway, we got the Rush off, and now Goku's gone. So at this point, in truth, Vegeta's kind of just a sitting duck. You've already used your main ability, all of your other units are gone, and the only unit that had endurance is now dead, or could have gotten endurance is now dead. So the opponent ended up tackling, and at this point, I'm not too worried. They're kind of just autoing at this point. So I end up throwing in Kiawe, and because of that, I know I just need to be able to wipe out Vegeta quickly. So I popped my main ability, hoping to be able to use my ultimate attack, and sure enough, they followed up with Blast. So ultimate attack wiped out Vegeta with a hammer to the head. So yeah, there's that. And side note, right? I really do like Kiawe's ultimate attack. Seriously, it's one of the most satisfying ways to either end a battle or to nullify endurance just because of the gigantic hammer. But apart from all that though, I think this shows a bit of the strengths that not only, again, Kiawe's able to put against the opponent for being able to vanish multiple times and just being a good damage dealer in general, but also with Casserole because he has his own perks, his ultimate attack hits very hard, and of course, having Rising Rush counter. That right there helped out a ton. But with that being said, on to the final battle.
Versus Jiren, Casserole, and Kiawe.
And here we are in the final battle. So I lead off with Goku and Frieza, and the opponent led off with Jiren, of course, to have element factor advantage. Anyway, they tackle, I follow up with Strike, and then afterwards I swap immediately to Kiawe because I'm trying to deal as much damage against Jiren as possible. So I combo accordingly, and then eventually they throw in Kiawe, and then they tackle. I vanish, but I follow up with Strike immediately and somehow managed to catch them because Kiawe still had her vanish. I don't know why the opponent didn't vanish. Anyway, I combo, eventually they throw in casserole, and then I ended it off with the special move. Then I throw in casserole, they force me to vanish, but I'm able to keep my combo going. Now at this point, I knew Jordyn was eventually going to come in, so I'm trying to maximize my damage as fast as possible. So after a certain point, I pop my main ability, and then I throw out my ultimate attack, but sure enough, at that point, KAUBA was able to come back in. So instead of Jordyn taking the ultimate attack, she took it. But it still dealt decent damage, and also she has bleed, so that helps out too. Anyway, so I throw in Goku, but then KAUBA used her special skill, so it instantly took away his vanish, and I had no cards, and I got blasted a little bit too late, so I wasn't able to do much. Eventually, they throw in casserole, he ends up comboing Goku, and then once Jordyn is able to go back in, he throws in Jordyn. Now, I initially had Goku in because just in case if the opponent had Rising Rush, I wanted to be able to counter it, but it was to the point where if I kept him in any longer, Jordyn was going to wipe him out. So I threw in casserole, then the opponent ended up transforming with Jordyn, so I lost my cards, but obviously he didn't really follow up. Then the opponent ended up throwing in KAUBA, forced me to vanish, and then after that, tap attacked, and then from there, they popped their special skill, so I lost the vanish again, but afterwards, I ended up just throwing in Goku, and I just tried to deal some sort of damage as fast as I can. So once I was able to swap, I swapped Goku out with Frieza, and at this point, things should be a bit smoother apart from KAUBA, just in case if she goes crazy. So I tap blast and somehow managed to get Jordyn to vanish. He tried to fall immediately afterwards, and I decided, you know what, I'm not doing none of that. So once I got Rush, I got Casserole in and I activated Rush, and then the opponent threw in their Casserole, which is good for me, except they guessed the Rush, and now we're in a really bad spot. So I have to make sure that I play my cards as perfectly as possible in this scenario. So they managed to get me to vanish, but I caught them in the process. Afterwards, I threw in KAUBA, but because of bleed, it brought his health low enough for me to tap attack him out of the way. So the opponent ended up, having Jordyn go in. They popped their special skill, but luckily I waited a bit and then I followed up with my attack. Afterwards, I used my ultimate attack with KAUBA, hoping that it's going to be dealing solid damage. And again, it's just a really cool ultimate attack in my opinion. It dealt really good damage in the process. So now I have to be careful. But okay, in that particular scenario, there was actually something happening. Somebody was at my door, so I had to stop playing. That's the reason why KAUBA took damage. But anyway, I got focused after I answered the door. And then when I realized it, KAUBA was attacking Casserole. And then from there, I'm like, you know what? The opponent could try to rush if they wanted to, but there's not really too much of a benefit at this point. Like, I still have Goku and Frieza, even though their gauge is down, so I know I can be able to do something. However, once I swapped Goku in, the opponent threw in Jordyn. And when that happened, I was not looking crispy at all. Like, this could have turned into a really bad scenario very quickly, but somehow I was able to catch Jordyn on the sidestep. Then I got Casserole back in and knocked him out with Ki Blast. So afterwards, the opponent threw in KAUBA because it's all they had left. And then afterwards, I combo a little bit with Casserole, and then I throw out the special move, and that ended up being LF. So, yeah, I'm kind of sad because I took unnecessary damage from Jordyn when I had KAUBA in, because, again, quite literally, somebody was at my door, so I had to go answer the door. But after that, I kind of got, refocused because, I was playing the game. And even while being distracted from something like that, we were still able to, win the battle somehow, some way. Because, again, Jordyn is very powerful. And if the opponent wanted to rush me in that moment while I was distracted, it could have happened, and I would have took, immense damage for literally no reason. But still, Jordyn was able to, do damage against my team, but I had Casserole, I had KAUBA, I had Goku and Frieza, which I'm really surprised that they didn't rush because my gauge was down. So they could have rushed, and there would have been nothing I could have done about it, but maybe they didn't notice. I don't know. But regardless, though, I think in this video, we got a very clear glimpse of what each of these units are capable of doing. All four of them are really good in their own respective rights. And honestly speaking, I think even more so with KAUBA, apart from Goku and Frieza. Even more so with KAUBA just because of her utility. Again, she has a move with Blast Armor, which is, her ultimate attack. She's able to nullify endurance, and she gets multiple vanishes. That helps out a ton. So again, I'm enjoying all of these new units, but I do want to know what you guys think about all four of the new anniversary units in the comment section below. But with that being said, I'm Ndukauba, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.